Once you have a Rails project set up, you're going to have lots of different files. So let's go through a little bit of what some of these are. First, just a quick recap, Rails uses the model view controller architecture, and this image is straight from the Ruby on Rails documentation. With this architecture, the user makes requests to the controller, which kind of acts as the brain of the whole thing. The controller is going to talk to the model, which you can think of as the data, and the controller is also going to talk to the view, which you can think of as the HTML that's displayed on our website. Once the controller is done talking to the model and the view, it generates the final request and sends it back to the user. So back in our code, in the app folder, we actually have folders for controllers, models, and views. In the controllers folder, we have a file called application controller, and the .rb means it's a Ruby file. And this is just something that's there by default that we don't need to mess with right now. But we'll be putting our own controllers in this folder later. Similarly, in models and views, it comes with some files that we're not going to mess with right now, but just to know that they're there, application record in the models folder. And in the views folder, there's a folder called layouts and then application.html.erb. And this is good to know that this is HTML that's going to run on every single page on the site by default. You might be wondering what this html.erb is, and the .erb just stands for embedded Ruby. And this is basically just regular HTML with Ruby kind of injected into it within these tags right here, like this, that have the open bracket and then %, and end with the % close bracket. We'll be adding in our own controllers, our own models, and our own views, but it's good to see what's there right now. Next, you might have seen I run the command bin/dev to start the server, and all that means is I am running this dev file in the bin folder. And it really just runs the command to execute the server, but sometimes there's going to be other stuff in here that we need, so I just run the bin dev command. Next is the config folder, which has, you might have guessed it, a lot of configuration files. The big one we're going to mess with is routes.rb, and this is where we'll define some of the URLs that work for our site. In the DB folder, that's going to be where we put our database migrations and see our schema for our database, which tells us what tables and columns and everything we have in there. And then our storage folder is where the actual database is going to live. Now there's a bunch of files in here, but I'm going to keep it simple and start with what I just mentioned, and we're going to work from there. Hope that helps, and I'll see you in the next one.